Davar bi'ito matov. It's a verse in 15th chapter of Sefer Mishlei, the book of Proverbs, that the right word in its proper time is perfect. And since this week, at the end of the week, we're going to have Purim Katan, a small Purim, I wanted to say a few words about this minor holiday. Now, the Shulchan Aruch, our main code of law, of course, is divided into 4 sections. And the main one, at least the most studied one and the largest one, is Orach Chaim, the path of life, the way of life. And in this section, the author starts with the way a Jew wakes up and ends with the laws of Purim. And the very last thing he discusses is actually Purim Katan. When we have 2 others in what is considered Jewish leap year, meaning there are 13 instead of 12 months, 2 Adars. So the main Purim is always a month before Pesach. As the Gemara says, the redemption of Purim is closest to redemption of Pesach. So that's why when there are 2 Adars, we celebrate Purim on the second Adar, not on the first one. But on the first Adar, the 14th of Adar, is also a kind of Purim. It's called Purim Katan, small Purim. So this week, on Friday, we're going to have Purim Katan, since this year is leap year. 14th of Adar Aleph, 14th day of the first Adar. And the very last thing that the Shulchan Aruch talks about is this Purim Katan. It says that we're not supposed to say Tachanun on this day, like on all the minor holidays. And the 20th Psalm, Yancha Hashem B'yom Tzara, is not said. This Psalm, of course, because it says, let Hashem answer you on the day of distress, tzara, we don't really recite it on days that are sort of holidays, whether it's Tu B'Shvat, minor holidays. Of course, on major holidays it's not recited. But even on minor holidays like Tu B'Shvat and Purim Katan, we don't say it. By the way, Sephardim and Hasidim don't say it on any day when Tachanun is not said. So it's a small holiday, Purim Katan. And according to the letter of the law, one doesn't have to make a feast on that day, since it's not the actual Purim. But guess what? Rema says that there are opinions that it's a good idea to make a feast on that day. And he ends with a verse from Sefer Mishlei, from the book of Proverbs, the same 15th chapter from which I already quoted today. Dvar bi'ito matov is from this chapter. There is another verse right in the middle of the chapter, the 15th verse. It's 15th verse of 15th chapter, easy to memorize. Right in the middle of the book of Mishlei. The entire book of Proverbs is 31 chapters. The last chapter has 31 verses, interestingly. And here it's 15th verse of 15th chapter, right in the middle. And that verse says, Tov lev mishte tamid. That's the last words of Orach Chaim section of Shulchan Aruch. Rema ends with, a good heart is always feasting. Meaning, the simple understanding seems to be that it doesn't hurt to make a feast. It's a good idea. A person in a good mood will always make a feast when there is an occasion for it. So why not? The way of serving Hashem with happiness is a great idea. Hashem wants us to be happy. Hashem wants us to serve Him in happiness. Aruch Hashulchan also emphasizes this in the end of the section of Orach Chaim. So why not make a feast? If there is an opinion that it's a good idea to make a feast, why not? You don't have to make a major Seudah, major feast like you do on Purim itself, but a minor feast. Of course, this year, since it falls on Friday, you don't want to make a big Seudah right before Shabbat. You want to be hungry when Shabbat comes, so you eat your Shabbat meal with pleasure and with enjoyment. So that's why it's a good idea to do it in the morning or early afternoon. So a minor Seudah, possibly with friends if there is a possibility, if there are people available. It's a good idea. Tov lev mishte tamid. So it's interesting, this verse, Tov lev mishte tamid, the full verse reads, Kol yemei oni ra'im, all the days of a poor man are difficult, are hard, bad, but the Tov lev, the one with good heart, is always feasting, always celebrating and happy. So this verse is quoted in 2 places in the Talmud with many, many interpretations on midrashic level, not on the simple pshat level. It's in the Masechet Bava Batra on 145th page and in Sanhedrin on 100th page. So in those 2 places it tries to darshan, makes a midrash on this verse with regards to who is it talking about. And there are a few examples that I'll give you. One opinion, that the Kol Yemei Oni Ra'im, whose days are difficult, who is the poor man here? The one who learns the Mishnah only. But the one who is happy all the time, that's the one who is learning the Gemara, the Talmud. Meaning, if you just learn the Mishnah, you don't really understand it fully without the Talmud. So the one who just learns the Mishnah, he's like a poor man whose days are difficult. The one who is learning the Talmud, yeah, he's really the one that's enjoying the feast all the time. The other opinion is exactly the opposite. But of course, the Talmud is very difficult to learn. There are a lot of difficult technicalities, pilpul, what they call, very, very complex and difficult issues involved. A lot of times not even leading to anything. A long pilpul that doesn't seem to be leading to anything. Whereas Mishnah is straightforward, it's concise, it basically hints to pretty much every law. So it's dafka the one who is learning the Talmud whose days are difficult, who is the poor man with difficult days. But the one who is happy all the time, that's the one learning the Mishnah. Another opinion is that aesthetes, like aesthetic person, it's a Greek word, aesthetes, he's too thin-skinned, I think they call it. A person who is very makpid on everything. He cannot really eat certain things, and he always needs to take showers. That's the kind of person whose days are very difficult. Who is a person whose days are easy? The opposite, the person who takes it easy and is not distressed over such nonsense. So it's good to be relaxed rather than being too delicate. Or another possibility, the oni here, the poor man, is datok tzara, person who is, I guess, has anger management problems maybe, impatient person, as opposed to whose days are always happy, the one who is patient and easygoing. So at any rate, I wish everybody a happy Purim Katan, and if you do make a Suda and you invite others, you could ask them these types of tricky questions. What does Orach Chaim section of Shulchan Aruch end with? And where does the Talmud discuss the verse that Rema decided to end the main section of Shulchan Aruch with? And if you like this video, please press like and please subscribe to our channel.